All right. Chris, if you want to go ahead and start us off, I'll start clicking on the slideshow.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Is it better now? Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you everybody for joining the quarterly technical seminar. We appreciate everybody's participation. And I'm happy. Just to introduce everybody to myself, I'm Chris Monero. I'm a general manager of the Polymer Films East location. I'm happy to be introducing Chad Summerstad and Mark Trozak, who are going to take us through the benefits, innovations, and advantages of LEXAN digital print films. So Carl, for everybody's knowledge and understanding, is a business development specialist for film. He's been printing in the industry since 1977. First start was at Industrial Graphics in 1988, 35 years in the industry so far. And Mark Trozak is the North American LEXAN film leader. He works with OEM, Tier 1, and printers of all types. 39 years in the industry with 25 years experience in converting film. So thank you, Chad and Mark, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate everybody's time today. Do want to start off with, we'd really like to have this as a conversation. So when you have questions, there's the raise your hand feature. Please use it as we go through. Don't wait till the end. There's nothing like being able to answer a question at the point in time we're talking about that subject. So the first thing we want to talk about is the competitive advantage. And the first thing I really want to highlight is the difference between screen printing and inkjet. And in the markets that we're in today with labor, time, conversion from the order to the cash cycle, there's a lot of advantages that can be brought with inkjet. So on the screen, you're going to see some numbers that are in general. When we talk about screen printing, you look at we took an example, 100 pieces, 5 colors. You talk about making screens, right? So you have to make the image, you have to have the mesh, you have to have the team that does that. You talk about part size, printing, all of that comes in, and we've estimated with real printing numbers, a $750 rough number. We talk about inkjet, and where we really are contemplating here, the difference is when you think about what we do in screen printing. A lot of that can be the industrial graphics, things that have really in the past had a home with industrial graphics. Think thick ink and very opaque deposits. Screen printing today is now a labor-intensive activities. Inkjet, we can do that same 100 pieces. We can use the same material, if you will, an 8B35 is the example here, but we have the LEXAN DP coating on it, 5 colors. We don't have to make the screens, part size 11 by 11. We don't need to make the steel rule dies. We also can have the digital image, the rip output from the art department sent out to the print stations, and we can have a single operator operate that. And in many instances, one operator can run 2 pieces of equipment. And you look back again on the other side, the left side there with screen printing, you have a screen printer, but you generally have to have somebody either bringing material, unloading. It really is a time difference. And we'll come into some of the advantages of the film that I really believe the technology is bringing the LEXAN DP into the marketplace today. But I really want to highlight that total difference in cost. $450 basically for the same product as an end user would look at. And I want you to bear that in mind as we kind of talk about some of the benefits that technology has brought through the LEXAN DP film. Any questions so far?
Not that I can see yet,
but
we'll always keep it open. And
please go.
If you all can use the raise your hand function, I believe is present here in Zoom. If not, just type into chat and we'll keep an eye on it.
Thank you. So we really want to talk about it. It really comes down to here, it's adhesion. We have adhesion in many areas, and we're going to talk about those. You have the substrate, and you have the ink's ability to adhere. And in the past, one of the weaknesses is getting an inkjet ink to adhere to a raw polycarbonate film. You put adhesive on it, and you really get some interesting opportunities. Next screen. Sorry. Yep. So what I really want to do is walk you through. So we talk about layers, and adhesion is really about the layers. And with the coating, you have to have good adhesion to the substrate. That's the first activity. And so we do with the LEXAN DP coating, we have got superior adhesion of the coating to the polycarbonate. The next is going to be that same coating has to have superior adhesion to the ink. And in the past, that's been one of the weaknesses when you put ink onto raw polycarbonate. So we've got good adhesion or equal adhesion, chemical and mechanical bonds from the polycarbonate to the LEXAN DP coating, the LEXAN DP coating to the ink. And that's important when we talk about how the product has to act as an integrated series of layers. Next slide. So before I move on to adding pressure sensitive adhesive or a highly solvated adhesive, the faster an adhesive gains up to full initial tack means the more aggressive it's going to be. And if you look at the right on that upper hand where we have a clean release, which means we have optimal bonds all the way through, and the adhesive is not overpowering the bond strength or the adhesion of the LEXAN DP to the polycarbonate or the ink to the LEXAN DP. Where it can get overpowering when you don't have that lineup of bond strengths, what'll happen is the adhesive will overpower the bond strengths of the other two, and you'll get a delamination, which many of us have seen in the past. So the real benefit that you have when you bring this in is that technology has brought inkjet into industrial graphics. We now can print super opaque, add pressure sensitive adhesive, and bring that out with a known result. So it again has overcome the deficiencies, if you will, that we've had in the past where we didn't have that superior adhesion. We could have a product, but the minute you put a good strong adhesive on it, we overrode the bond strength and the adhesive was pulling the ink away. Next question. So again, I want to reiterate coming back. So as a printer, we're looking at that. The base film up, we've got a great bond of the LEXAN DP coating to the polycarbonate. We have a great bond of the inkjet ink to the LEXAN DP. And those two are strong enough that they override the adhesive to the ink. And what that is important is when you lay this down as an example, not fully applied with pressure, but if you need to reposition something, you can pull it back up and reposition it. And when we talk about assembly for an overlay, a membrane switch, things like that, this can be very important because it's going to enhance your yield. Throughput. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning with the financial teaser. Labor savings. This is really a big deal today when you talk about difficulty with labor. We really have the ability to produce a product with a throughput that is days less than what screen printing can be and give you very similar to the same result as far as the printed graphics. No need to wait 48 to 72 hours. In the past, you may have been told you need to let the ink set post-cure before you apply an adhesive. Today, with the LEXAN DP primer, you do not have to do that. So when you're done printing, you can put a highly solvated, very aggressive adhesive on the back, and you won't have any issues as you may have seen in the past. Again, that is a big deal.
Okay, one of the things, I want to talk about is, head strike reduction. And one of the things when we were developing DP, we actually upgraded our line so that we enhanced the lay flat ability of the polycarbonate film so that you reduce any chance of getting a head strike. So that, and everybody knows what happens if you get a head strike, it's very costly. So we've engineered our DP film to be better lay flat. And the good thing about our DP product is we can actually do it on our full range of LEXAN films, whether it's 8010, 8B35, we have a DP 8010, we have a DP 8B35. We can put this on our hard coated products. We could put it on our flame resistant products. So whatever we have in our standard LEXAN film product line, we also offer in our DP films. And one key thing though, I want to do this, we stock a lot of these products in, with ourselves and with our distribution partner. And the one thing though is 30 mil. That one we do make to order. And I just want to highlight that. And the reason why is everybody knows with 30 mil, you put it on a core, you get roll set. So that's one thing. If you do have jobs that are going to require a thicker substrate, that you just keep that in mind, that one we have to work through the process of getting that made. But all the other gauges and types of LEXAN film we carry in stock. Now I want to talk about, the end use markets. Carl kind of talked about it. This kind of opens up with being able to, put the adhesive on. Now you can get into the industrial graphics. You can get into the appliance. You can get into automotive, consumer and electronics, outdoor, because we have our hard coat films that are weatherable, scratch resistant, and chemical resistant. You could do stuff for like, oh, you have a hand?
We do.
Oh, okay.
So we have our first question. It's from Mark in the chat. He's asking, what type of inkjet are you talking about? UV, solvent, or water-based?
Oh, that's a great point. That's a great point. This is, you want to take it?
I'll take it. So primarily UV and UV LED cured. Solvent, we haven't, it will provide, again, a little bit of a benefit. The product is really engineered and oriented to the UV and UV LED cured systems. Other questions?
I think that's it for now, but
Yep.
we'll keep it.
Good.
Oh, sorry. Mark has also asked if there's any issues with embossing whenever using this.
So it's a great question. So when we talk about the improved bond strength, it does give you a greater ability to emboss, but everything has limits, right? So the thicker the ink, the more there is a concern. It is trial and error. But again, this will give you better ink adhesion, so there will be less separation. You should get a better embossed process, if you will, through this. Embossing is a very wide-ranging application, so I'd be happy to talk about offline, if that makes sense, with the specific embossing process and tools and equipment that you have. But yes, I do believe this will give you some improvement over what you may have experienced in the past without using the LEXAN DP.
And further, just to go beyond embossing, forming, we've done some forming trials. Now, the forming really comes down to the polycarbonate is going to form. It's whether your ink is a formable ink, right? So that's that's what you have to look at. Will your ink elongate? Because it's still the same polycarbonate film that we're using in our standard product. We're just putting the DP coating on it. So you will get that formability or embossability. It's your inks, and you'll have to make sure that you're using the right ink to allow you to emboss and form.
Great question.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark, for that. We'll go ahead and move back to the end market use. If there's any questions, though, please feel free to type those in. We'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah, you can go to the next slide. Yeah, and I kind of talked about some of these, appliance, consumer, and electronics. I was talking about, the outdoor applications like fuel pumps, but also you look at some of the emerging markets like EV chargers. There's labels on EV chargers, so you can print custom graphics for an EV charging station, and any type of durable good or industrial equipment, and membrane switches, or if you're even just doing signage where you need to put adhesive on the polycarbonate. Also, it's not on our slides here, but if you're using flexo inks and you're having issues with your flexo ink sticking, you can use the DP film, again, UV flexo, and that will also enhance the bond. And the same thing with screen printing. I know there's a couple screen printing inks that also sometimes don't stick well with polycarbonate. If you use the DP coating and you're using UV lights to cure it, this will also enhance that and allow you to use those flexo or screen inks that could be causing or could have caused you problems in the past.
Yeah, and one of the things to think about is, so those of us who have been in the industry a long time, we go back a ways, the ideation process. So whether it's a consumer electronics, an appliance application, giving the industrial designers the opportunity to see many different visual variations or graphics. It's expensive to do screen printing. One of the things that you can use these products, because again, as Mark had mentioned, you can get it in the LEXAN DP Prime version or a standard version should you want to go back to screen printing for the larger volumes. you can create through this ideation process multiple variables very inexpensively, very quickly through the inkjet printing process. You can get a like-to-like output for those customers that you have that you want to go through the ideation process.
And one of the things too, I think if you signed up early enough, I think some people did get samples, but depending on when you signed up, you might not have been able to get those in time. But if you do need samples, and we'll have a slide here where we have some contact information. We have, samples of our DP films for you to do, testing on, and to, see what it can do for you to help you improve not only your output and throughput, but also hopefully your profitability.
Yeah, and I would encourage you to use these samples. Seeing is believing. It's easy enough for people to tell you it works. It's really good for you to see that it works and prove in your process. Not all inkjet pieces of equipment are the same. The inks themselves are not the same, and the adhesives that you use. It's a great opportunity to get these samples, process them, use them, and see and test for yourself. Yes.
So we have a question from Rob Sullivan. Are all LEXAN films available with the DP coating, or just the items in the DP swatch book?
No, we can coat all of our products. I talked about earlier, whether it's our graphic grade, our coated products, our FR products. Do we have every gauge in stock at this point? No, but we have a majority of what I would call the high users, but we can definitely do it in any of our products or thicknesses.
So as the swatch book you may have seen was an earlier version. So what we are is, as the days and months have progressed, we've actually started to see a lot more demand for the variety, especially get into the coated films. So yes, the portfolio of stocked inventory will be enhancing as time goes along. But if you have certain ones that you need, please get with your sales group and let us know what you need.
All right.
Okay.
And I think that wraps it up to there. So everyone, if there's any more questions, we're happy to have them, but that's the end of our slideshow. Oh, I see one new message just popped up. Actually two. So we'll go with Diana. She has a question saying, we have anchorage strength issues under a UV curable adhesive layer. Are there ways to get this primer on other substrates? So
I think we can. I think that's something we can discuss offline, but not knowing the exact substrate and everything. But it's something we could definitely look at. So yes, please contact. Give us a call or contact us, and then we can discuss that further.
And then Hannah has a question saying, does DP film retain gloss and I believe light transmission percentage?
Yes, it's you really shouldn't notice a difference if you looked at a DP8B35 and a regular 8B35, you're not going to see the difference. If you looked at 8010 and DP8010, you should get the same light transmittance that you do from, whether, as Carl mentioned, you could do your prototyping on the DP, and then if you had to do screen for the larger run, you go to screen printing, you shouldn't see any difference.
You should see no difference.
Yep.
Yes.
Our next question says, are you seeing any yellowing from this new primer when compared to non-primed versions of the LEXAN? Any yellowing on the primer sheets when using HP12W and exposed to direct? Still working on that.
Okay, but they can hear me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to address the question. Would it yellow? Would your inks yellow, or would you see yellowing? If you're using one of our weatherable films, no, you should not see, because that's protecting your graphic. It's protecting your ink, and it's protecting the DP coating. So you should not see any yellowing, whether it's DP or whether it's our standard HP product. That should protect it from weathering. So hopefully that answers your question. Is there?
So the second part of it was any yellowing on the primer sheets when using HP12W and exposed to direct sunlight. So I think that
answered.
that's
Yeah,
covered.
hopefully
So,
I answered that. If not, just raise your hand again and I can clarify.
They're copy and pasting. They're coming right through.
Okay.
So the next question was, still using wide format solvent inks, can we use the DP product with tie coat and still get good adhesion?
I would think what I would do is we can get you some material to sample and try it. That's the way I would approach that, is let's try it. But it is engineered for UV, but like I talked about, it works in flexo and screen printing inks also. So let's we can send you some material and you can give us a call and we can work with you through that.
And so our next question is, have you tried non-UV cured ink on digital print films?
You won't, the issue is you won't cure the coat, you won't cure that tie layer if you don't use the UV light. So if you maybe kept it out for a while, would it eventually at room lighting fully,
It needs the UV to fully
Yeah.
cross-link.
cross-link? Yep.
Okay, another question. Can you mention which brands of inkjets this has been tested with?
Swiss Q,
Roland. There's a number. What we could
Mamaki.
do, Mamaki. There's a number of them, but I hate to give out a particular brand because as the models change, as the heads change, the inks change. So would be happy to have a conversation offline. But this is where, again, I really strongly recommend sampling with your particular unit, because you could have 2 units 5 years apart, but the same manufacturer, same model, and they could react differently. That's why in each unit, I really encourage you to do the testing, do the print test, do the adhesion test to validate and verify with your ink, your system, that it is giving you the results. Be happy to work with you through that, but testing really is the key to that answer.
And that being said, I don't think we've actually come across a printer that it hasn't worked on yet. So, but still, the best way to do it is to do some testing.
Okay, next up, we have a question. What is the cost difference between straight 8B35 and DP 8B35?
I think that's where you would call your our distribution partner to get that information.
Okay, that's the end of the questions as far as I can see. If we have any more, please feel free to chime in.
If I could. So one thing, as you're going through this and you get samples, you may have questions. Please let us know. We may not know all the answers, but we generally will know where to get the answers. And would love to help you, in this journey and look at how you may use this to enhance your process, satisfy your internal needs and demands, as well as your customers. So again, we appreciate the time. Thank you.
And so we have one more question
excellent.
that popped in. Will there be minimums?
I think that's
I think that's where you work through our distribution partners, but I know that they work with, they carry these DP products in inventory, and I think it would be the same as your, standard LEXAN polycarbonate films. So I wouldn't expect to see any minimum difference between the two.
Okay. And now the next question is, will we be provided contact info on Sabbath team after this meeting? And the answer is yes. In the follow-up email that Polymer Films will be sending, we'll have Carl and Mark's contact information.
Any other questions?
I believe Larry might be trying to chime in with audio, but I'm not sure. I can't quite hear anything on our end, but if there's any more questions, please feel free to type them into the chat menu or try and chime in. Hopefully we can hear everybody. We're a little bit skittish, worrying that the audio might not be coming through.
Yeah, and one thing, the question earlier they asked about, I talked about the products, even our new products like our HPO1W, which is a textured weatherable hard coat. We can put our DP coating on our new products and all of our older legacy products.
And again, questions come up after the fact. We'll have our contact information provided to you. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us.
Okay.
Thank you again, everybody.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thank you.
We appreciate your time. And Chris, do you guys have any last messages from Polymer Films?
No, we appreciate everybody joining. Thanks for all the engagement and the questions. Like Mark and Carl said, any questions, for them, please reach out to them and same on the Polymer Film side. If you have any price or minimum questions or anything that Polymer Films can help you out with, please direct them to us and, your local sales representative, and we'll be more than happy to assist.
All right, perfect. Thanks so much, everyone.
All right, great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Have a good day.
Yep.